Okay, 30 seconds.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of the staff and management of Salem Media of Hawaii.
Huh? In front of the first line, guys. I went up inside. Okay.
Welcome to Think Tech Wednesday on the Think Tech radio series on AM 760 KGU, broadcasting across the islands and raising public awareness in Hawaii. Now here's your host, Jay Vidal.
Okay. I guess it's Wednesday.
It's
Did I get that right? It's Wednesday.
Oh.
It's
Energy
actually
Wednesday.
here in Hawaii, the state of clean energy. It's Wednesday. That's why we're doing this, right, Sharon Moriwaki?
Right, that's right.
That's the voice of Sharon Moriwaki. She's my co-host. And Ray Starling is here, too.
Jay.
He's kind of like my co-host, kind of
He
like
is.
Glad to be back with
Ray
you.
Starling
Glad to
of
have you
Hawaii
back
Energy.
from
Thank you
Turkey.
very much. And I'm glad to be back from Turkey. Enough already with Turkey.
Yeah, he's back
you
in
got it
Turkey.
going.
We're very happy to see you back.
That's Mark Glick. He's the State Energy Administrator. And the title of this program is The State Energy Administrator Speaks Out. We can hardly wait to hear what you have to say, Mark.
Yeah, me too. Who knows?
But before I go to that, I want to tell you, that in Turkey, you know how they say hello? Gobble, 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 gobble. You know how they say goodbye? Gobble, 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 gobble. I tried that on a guy in
Really?
Turkey, He thought it was hysterical.
Oh, really? Not in Turkey, though.
In Turkey.
Oh,
He was
really?
just being nice to you.
I guess so. Thank you.
You are lucky to make it back.
That's right, you are.
That's what I thought at that very moment. I was
That's right
wondering if
before
you
the ride
hit me on the
started.
side of the head. Okay, Ray, let's get serious. That's Ray Starling, Hawaii Energy, okay? The guys who make it efficient for us. He's a picture
Yes.
of efficiency.
We try to be.
Ray, you're down here to talk about, among other things, you're down here to talk about what's going on with Hawaii Energy right now today. You have another giveaway. I know it. I feel it.
Oh, well, this is my megawatt moment. And basically, I wanted to talk to you about what we've been doing to try to spread the message about energy efficiency and help people to get into energy efficiency, and especially those that have not had a good opportunity in the past. And one of the things that the PUC told us when we first started back in 2009 is they wanted us to get out and touch base with the hard-to-reach people who really hadn't had a chance to be a part of the energy incentive and rebate program. So took them to heart and ended up looking in Hana on Maui.
I knew this was going to be a blockbuster.
Well, it was.
If you came down personally on this, it must be something really good.
That's right. We actually teamed up with Makahana Kaiki. It's a nonprofit construction skills training program for at-risk youth in Hana. And we actually set up an arrangement where we would have a licensed installer of solar water heaters come to Hana and use this as an opportunity to train students in Hana how to install solar hot water heaters.
Wow.
And the program paid for it all, and actually got 3 hot water heaters installed in Hana, and now the kids who were part of this operation are able to go and do maintenance and tweak the systems.
That's
And
neat.
they learned a lot about how to do it and how to do it right. Used licensed installers and got the permits pulled, did everything the way it was supposed to be done, and so they learned the right way. So we were very happy to do that.
And this means that Hana will have, access to solar water heaters, easily now.
Well, now it'll be easier now. We still have work to do, and encouraging others to take part in our rebate program and get solar water on their roofs, and it's happening, and we're happy to have made this first step. But there's
Of course,
longer,
there's a
longer way to
lot
go.
more where that came from.
Right.
You know, it strikes me that there's a whole policy issue there. You know, we have these rural areas in the state. They don't have a lot of, they have expensive electricity, we know that, very expensive electricity. But they don't necessarily have access to solar and PV and so forth. And your program has multiple effects, and one of those effects is to bring this technology to remote areas, which is very kind and democratic of you, and which is good policy for the state for sure.
Well, and these people have been paying into the fund that funds this program, so they should be getting something back. In fact, again, the PUC told us to make sure that the neighbor islands got their fair share, and that's what we've actually, in the last couple of years, including this year that's ending on the 30th of June, we have overdone it on the neighbor islands just to make sure that they knew who we were, and they now expect to get their fair share going forward.
Actually, I thought you'd overdone it everywhere. It's
So,
the nature of the
are
beast.
these students who are trained now working there?
They are.
In the
They're
island?
working there, and as I said, they are. They have some of the skills that they need. They obviously have to be trained for longer than just 3 jobs, but we got them started, and it was a good experience for all.
So just one more question before we move on to other things, and that is, what's next in the pipeline, Ray? You know, usually your staff that comes down here, when we ask them that, they say they can't tell us because it's a secret and they have to kill us. But I think, you know, you probably have the discretion to actually tell us what's next. Be nice.
Well, actually, you know, there's a lot going on. I think Mark is going to talk a bit about what we're doing together with this on-bill financing, and I won't steal the show, but that's the big thing on the horizon, on-bill financing that will open up to a lot of folks who have not had access to the funds necessary to put in solar water heaters and PV and do other energy efficiency measures. We're going to make that money available and allow them to pay back with their power bills. They pay on their power bills from the savings, basically, that they get from making these installations. So I will let Mark talk more about that later, but that's the big thing for us right now.
Well, why don't we treat the Negawatt moment as having been concluded for this show, and move right along with your suggestion to Mark. Mark, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. It's really nice to have your smiling face in our show. And if people are watching, you know, on Ustream.tv, they can actually see Mark's smiling face. Mark is waving at them. So if you're, we broadcast on Ustream.tv, we broadcast on Spreaker.com, that's internet radio, and of course we broadcast on KGU 760 AM.
You're
we
big
are
time now.
happy
Big
campers.
time.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
cool.
thanks.
To the world.
good.
Yeah, you guys could be more famous than you ever were.
Oh.
Which is hard. Mark, so welcome, Energy Administrator. Great to have you at our table. And you know, we wanted to ask you in general, you know, what's going on. We wanted to allow you the opportunity to speak out. That's why we call this show Our State Energy Administrator Speaks Out. So, can you speak out, please?
I can. You know, I think one of the scoops is that tomorrow Governor Abercrombie is going to be signing a really important bill, Senate Bill 1087. That was the green infrastructure financing. It was the program that Ray alluded to. And, you know, he made a big deal, the governor did, that we really need to find cheaper sources of credit, larger pools, and to reach the underserved markets. And so with Richard Lim and Tracy Ho Kim and our team put forth some legislation, got it passed with a broad coalition, and it will be signed tomorrow. It creates the framework for innovative financing. It combines securitized bonds to get very, very low-cost bonds, AAA rated, and teaming that with on-bill financing on the back end, so that it makes it so simple for a renter, a homeowner, a commercial operator, a nonprofit organization, a church. You know,
How about a clean energy provider? I mean, who wants to spend millions? What do you think?
Well, ultimately, it could be, you know, the financing order that will describe all of this will ultimately be decided by the PUC. So I think there certainly are potential opportunities, I think, to expand it. But initially, you know, the notion of getting, you know, lower costs of financing for solar water heaters, PV, and other efficiency measures, I think is really a crucial opportunity under this bill.
Wow, you know, it's very exciting. I mean, just to review some of this, this is a Hawaii bill. We invented this idea, am I right?
We did, yeah.
We're first in the nation on this kind of financing. It shows a certain level of leadership. And theoretically, I mean, I hope it comes to pass. Theoretically, it can provide lots of money in an area, in an activity that needs lots of money to change the state's infrastructure for clean energy. This is the missing link in many ways for many enterprises. They need the money they need the financing.
Well, when the analysis was first done on how much would it cost to fully implement the Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative, we estimated it would cost over $16 billion. So this level of funding in tranches of $100 million is essential to that. But we do have to, as a model, thank the legislators for their vision and for standing behind this, that were involved in this in both the Senate and the House, and of course the governor for proposing this and standing behind it. And we're very fortunate with teaming with Hawaii Energy and nonprofits, Sierra Club and the Blue Planet Foundation, and bringing all of the various parties
Ulupono,
there.
right?
Ulupono was a
also
supporter.
Murray Clay.
Yeah. We were very, very pleased with the level of support. We're working very closely with the Public Utilities Commission. They have a lot of work to do to get this implemented, and the legislators certainly sent us signals that they want this to be done quickly. So,
Yeah. Well, you know, there are all kinds of signals in the world. And one of the signals that we're dealing with right now is the sound of music. And the sound of music is a kind of signal, right, Sharon Moriwaki?
That's right.
What do you think it means? Oh, it's a break coming up. So why don't we take that signal seriously and have a short break? This is Think Tech, having fun with Mark Glick, Ray Starling, Sharon Moriwaki. We'll be right back.
760 KGU.
Part of the Wall Street Business Network.
In Kaimuki, the westbound lanes of Waialae are closed in the block from Cocoa Head Avenue to Center Street because of a water main break. An accident downtown A'ala and Vineyard Boulevard. Freeways look typical going west. The H1 slows at the Radford Drive overpass. The Moanalua is good over Red Hill. Inbound traffic from the west slows as you approach Middle Street. No problems out to Hawaii Kai or to the windward side.
Hawaii, the state of clean energy, is also brought to you by Hawaiian Electric Company, powering the growth and development of Hawaii since it was chartered by King Kalakaua in 1891. Today, Hawaiian Electric and its subsidiaries, Maui Electric and Hawaii Electric Light Company, serve more than 95% of our state, providing reliable electric service essential to our quality of life. The Hawaiian Electric companies are also leading our transition to clean energy. By increasing our renewable energy use and improving energy efficiency, we're reducing Hawaii's dependence on imported oil and in providing a more sustainable and secure future for Hawaii. For more information, visit hawaiisenergyfuture.com. Hawaii, the state of clean energy, is also brought to you by the State Energy Office of the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism. How can we secure a better future for Hawaii? One way is clean energy, and the State Energy Office is steering Hawaii to that clean energy future. Hawaii is rich with natural renewable resources, the sun, the wind, the ocean, and the land. And they are all being tapped to meet Hawaii's clean energy initiatives to generate electricity, create jobs, spur economic growth, and reduce our dependence on imported foreign oil. To learn more, visit energy.hawaii.gov.
Now back to Think Tech Wednesday on AM 760 KGU. Here once again is your host, Jay Fidel.
Okay, we're back. Thank you, Jack Waters. Thank you, Leah Rodriguez. Thank you, guys. We're back. We're Think Tech. We're live. We're here. It's Wednesday. You know, we're here. It must be Wednesday.
It must be.
This is Hawaii, the state of clean energy, and this show is entitled "State Energy Administrator Speaks Out," like a headline. You know, like 27-point type. Okay.
Wow.
And we want you to speak out to the extent you can, will, and so forth. But so the 100 million, tell us about where it comes from and how it gets, you know, where does it start? Where does this 100 million start?
Well, it starts in the bond market, and we're using the Public Benefits Fund to securitize that. And so there are no funds that come from the general fund at all. So that's the wonderful thing about it. And on the back end, when it basically goes into a fund that then issues loans for the purposes that we discussed previously, and you know, it makes it so easy for again, a homeowner or a small business, a nonprofit. All they have to do is basically this will be reflected in their bill, in their electricity bill. So, and they'll see a slight reduction in their bill because of the energy savings that come from the installation, but then they'll be able to pay it over time using that kind of structure. And that's linking these two, low cost sort of credit, you know, so that the interest rates are very low and on bill. So it eases the whole payment process and it allows greater access to underserved markets. That's the innovation that's kind of turned this, what many presume to be an emerging national model.
Yeah, well, I think it's a fabulous idea. It's what's been necessary. We've been trying to do on-bill financing for a couple of years at least, and this whole thing wraps around on-bill financing and provides a way for it to happen. But, you know, may I say, and I'll say this in public, the devil is in the detail.
Yes.
And you guys, both Mark Glick and Ray Starling, are involved in the detail. How does that work, Ray?
Well, there's a rather large group of stakeholders in a working group that is actually working on the various details. As you say, the devil is there, and it's very complex to put it all together, and so we're being very cautious and careful about, you know, how we do it. And the object is to make it very simple for the customer.
Sure.
We want it to be a no-brainer. Why don't
Right.
it's
Check a
like
box.
not
Yeah.
it's like you don't have a TV set. You know, we need a TV set. That's a no-brainer. Let's go get one. Here's a simple way. And I'm not
Also, you
saying
have to put it on a website, right? And make sure it fits on a mobile phone too, right?
Right. So everybody's got one. That's basically what we want, and we want it to start out with the people that have been hard to reach, people who really did not have an opportunity in the past because they would have to come up with their own money or go borrow it from someone who was going to look at a lot of credit scores and so forth. This is on-bill payback, and the idea is that the money will be more easily or readily available to the hard-to-reach folks and allow them to get in the game, so to speak.
It's just like HANA all over again, isn't it?
It's like HANA. It's reaching out to those people. And there's, you know, obviously out there, there's a big market that's already going. You just open the newspaper and you see there's a lot going on with people who already have a business model that works. And we're not trying to infringe on that or compete with it at all. What we're going after initially will be the people who aren't in that market.
You know, I mean, there was an objection, there has been an objection to PV on the basis that, you know, the people who have PV are the guys who could afford it. They could go out and file those loan applications and
This
somehow
changes
arrange
that,
financing.
yeah.
This changes that,
It does
doesn't
change
it?
it, yeah. You know, and the great thing is that, you know, before the session began, you know, Omnitrack goes out twice a year, I believe, for a consumer preference survey. And so we tagged on to that survey and found out that 70% of Hawaii residents said that if you could provide us low interest financing for energy savings improvements, we'll be there. We want that. And so, you know, that was a pretty good signal that it's another signal that the market's there. So, you know, we're happy to be able to come through and deliver.
This could be really, really terrific. So my question to you, Mark, is can I apply? I need solar on my rooftop. I mean, I really do.
Yeah.
Can I apply now? Can we do it? Can we talk about this right now? Do you have any paper applications, whatnot, with you? I'll sign.
We're working on that.
Yeah, talk to Ray.
But yeah,
When's it coming, Ray?
well, it's the PUC has said they want something ready to go by January, this coming January, and there's a lot, as Mark said, there's a lot that it needs to come together. And we had a 2-hour meeting this morning with the working group, and it went very well. I think we're making great progress, but there are a lot of things that we still have yet to get to find out that we've got an issue. You know, we're hitting the issues that we know about, but the new issues will come up, and we'll have to deal with them. But that we got a lot of smart people in the room that are trying to make this happen. We all want it to happen. It's good for Hawaii.
We all want
it does
you to
set
want
us
it to
out
happen.
in front of the pack, as so to speak, with what's going on elsewhere. We'll be one of the first to, well, we will be the first to pull this total package together. So I'm looking forward to it.
You know, Sharon, we ought to continue to cover the story. I'm making mental note that
That's
we
right.
have to,
You have to come
at
back.
the end of the year or January, you know, your date,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Oh yeah.
We want to come back and revisit it and see how it's doing and see what kind of response you're getting from people
Right.
and see how many installations, you know, how things change and sort of the metrics thing.
I
you know
like
what?
it that it's really consumer oriented, so you make it really easy for
Really
the person
easy,
to
yeah.
apply.
Yeah.
It might be really complicated in the back end, right on the internal side, workings of whether it's the utility working with the bank or how you do that with the public benefits fund, you know, supporting it. But for the consumer coming in, applying and having it,
It's a
you know,
dream.
being paid
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
But here, this is all going to go to PV. I mean, maybe some will go to solar water heaters, but a lot of it's going to go to PV.
That's a more expensive.
Okay, so I see before me fields of roofs with PV. Now there's no barrier really. This is going to take away one big remaining barrier. We're going to have all this PV. What about storage? What are you going to do?
Well,
What about curtailment?
well, these are all issues that are being worked on right
That's
now.
what you spent 2 hours talking about this
Well,
morning.
no, we didn't actually. We were talking about the details of how the financing comes together. And the financing is really great because in theory, and the way we're planning it, is that the savings that you are getting on your power bill will be equal to or better than the cost of the power that you're actually having to purchase plus the debt that you're repaying.
What about storage?
Well, storage is something that could be very helpul.
Well, my concern is that, you know, there's a ceiling here somewhere. I don't know where it is. There's a technical ceiling. And if waves of grain, waves of PV everywhere, what do we do at night? You know, Sharon and I had this wonderful trip to Lanai one time, and we asked this high school girl, you know, what did she want to see for Lanai in terms of, you know, clean energy? She says, oh, PV, because everybody likes PV. Nobody doesn't like PV, but nobody really integrates the thing about storage. Anyway, I said, you know, what do you want here on Lanai? She says, but PV everywhere. I said, we can do it at night because PV only works in the daytime. She says, easy. We go to sleep early. So what are we gonna do? Go to sleep early?
You know, that's one solution. But you know, you bring up a really important point. You know, when we look at trying to remove all the barriers to renewable energy penetration, and also to getting a greater amount of conservation and energy efficiency in place. We have to look at the entire picture, and the entire picture has to do with a diversified portfolio of energy options, much more efficient power plants so we can ramp up and we can deal with some of these issues in terms of being able to handle the fluctuations that happen when you lose solar or wind, the intermittent power disturbances. So, but we also have to work on improving our reliability standards. The Public Utilities Commission has a huge job to do to get their energy reliability administrator function up and running, and clearly the work they have to do on the financing side. So all of these things need to happen, and they need to happen pretty much simultaneously. So that's why we're all working together to try to come up with the right kind of operational plan and that makes sense.
So does the green financing just fund PV or solar water heating, or can it fund like storage capacity, or is that kind of not included?
Well, actually, part of the statute that is going to be, or the law that was passed that was going to be signed tomorrow is a change in the definition of what the public benefits fee administrator can do, and that's opened up a pretty broad spectrum of things, not just energy efficiency, but renewable energy and anything that will save energy. And I would venture to say that it's broad enough that you could probably squeeze in there storage.
That'd be great.
Because it facilitates the use of a lot more renewable energy if you've got the ability to store it. That's, I think, the point
Sure,
that Jay's talking
I mean, in my observation, and I want you guys to disagree with me, but when we started out in 2008, there was all these possibilities. It was huge. It was an array of things. I'll just mention a couple. OTEC, right? Ocean energy, right? Algae. It was all out there, and we said at the time, let's treat everything. Everybody wins. But as it has worked out, we're mostly looking, forgive me for saying this, at PV. And PV is a great solution.
Well, it's a horse race, and PV is winning. I mean, we didn't know that back, 5-6 years ago.
You know what?
But we knew there were a lot of horses, and so we've given an opportunity to see, which one can run the fastest. I'm not writing off OTEC and the other things.
No.
But they just haven't gotten
You guys are really
fast.
getting excited about that. I love when we do that. And that's when I always say, let's take a break.
Take a break.
I say this because I hear it in my ear. Let's take a break. Sharon, it's time for a break.
It's time for a break.
Okay, this is Think Tech with Mark Glick, State Energy Administrator, Ray Starley, Sharon Moriwaki, Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy, and our Energy Administrator today, Mark Glick, is speaking out.
He is.
Right back. Stay tuned to 76.
760 KGU.
Part of the Wall Street Business Network.
Going west, the H1 slows at the west end of the airport viaduct. The Moanalua slows at Moanalua Gardens. It's slow until you get out past the Waipahu exit. Inbound traffic from the west slows as you approach Middle Street, and it's slow from there to Ward Avenue. No problems to Hawaii Kai or the windward side. Got that water main break in Kaimuki. The right westbound lane of Waialae is closed from Cocoa Head to Center Street.
With the Kahiava Wind Farm on Maui and the Kahuku and Kawailoa Wind Farms on Oahu, First Wind is pleased to create clean, local sources of energy powered by Hawaii's trade winds. Understanding our unique environment and host culture, First Wind develops projects that support local communities and provide net benefits to native wildlife, embracing the concept of caring from Mauka to Makai. Hu Kamakani. May the wind blow towards a sustainable future for Hawaii's people. For more information, visit firstwind.com.
ThinkTech Energy Wednesday is also brought to you by Hawaii Energy. Hawaii Energy is a ratepayer-funded conservation and efficiency program administered by SAIC under contract with the Hawaii Public Utilities Commission, serving the islands of Hawaii, Lanai, Maui, Molokai, and Oahu.
Now back to Think Tech Wednesday on AM 760 KGU. Here once again is your host, Jay Fidel.
Thank you, Jack Waters. Thank you, Leah Rodriguez. Thank you, Leilani Williams. It's great to be here. It's great to be, unfortunately, you guys who are listening and watching, you don't catch what we say during the breaks, because during the breaks, it's really the good stuff. What can I say? It's it's like the best part of the chicken, you know what I mean? Okay. Anyway, so let's see where we left off.
You mean the wings?
Okay. We're talking about how the end of the tunnel the outline is now appearing. Certain technologies which we maybe considered more promising before, we consider maybe a little more long distance. Other technologies have emerged as doable, and where the price is actually going down, where the utility and popularity is going up. So it's amazing what's happened in 5 years. You want to write a book, not right now, but soon, Mark. Anyway, you were saying, I was talking about the tunnel and the emergence and the fact that some of these technologies look like off the table, but you disagree.
Yeah, no, I think that when you look at the portfolio that's now employed, we have hydro playing a significant role. We have geothermal, and there's another 50 megawatts that will be playing a role, I'm sure, within the next year and a half.
50?
50, an additional 50 from an RFP that has already been issued.
On the Big Island?
Yeah, that's being reviewed on the Big Island. And we talked about interconnection, how important that is, and ultimately how that's going to give the opportunity to deliver curtailed wind on Maui and ultimately geothermal from the Big Island. And of course wind and PV are heavily on the table. So all of those are playing a role, and we tend to differentiate at the Energy Office between those commercial solutions and the testbed sorts of strategies that we hope to see long term that are being still invested, and they have to do with algae and OTEC and other things that are still under development. We're clearly not going to issue an RFP and expect those to be part of the respondent, but we do expect to see them at some point down the road because there's continuing investments, and I think high hopes that ultimately they'll play a role.
You know what? Somebody may have a question for Mark. I mean, I know this. I know you're out there. And the number is 296-5467 if you want to call, because after all, today, Mark Lick, State Energy Administrator, is speaking out. Anyway, so question, you talk about interconnectivity, talk about geothermal from the Big Island, talk about wind, not big wind, because big wind seems to be somewhat distant. But we don't have a cable. Can you tell the people what it is with the cable these days?
Yeah, I hear a lot of people asking questions about that, and I know that the PUC is reviewing the final RFP, and we continue to hear that it is imminent. So we are looking to the PUC to issue that, or to issue the approval for HECO to issue that RFP. It's a critical, important piece, the 200 to 400 megawatts of intermittent power, and it has the option to provide that from the neighbor islands, and we would hope to see some good proposals once that's issued.
Well, let me get it straight, because I think this needs to be made clear one way or the other. we believe, as a matter of state policy, that the islands should share. It's like, you know, kids, they're slightly unruly and you say, share your dessert. We believe, right? Isn't that the express state policy that we should share, like the kids with the dessert?
Well, the state policy is that we have a portfolio of clean energy options and we should pursue them. And, you know, we have also said that if any community overwhelmingly doesn't want a clean energy solution that's been proposed, we don't want it either. So it's about finding the right balance. There are opportunities and there are places where things, you know, installations, utility scale installations make sense and the community's for it. So we continue to look for those kinds of solutions, and I think in the end, all of it will balance out.
In the end, do you foresee a day when rates will be equalized among all the islands, including Kauai?
I do. It sounds like
Will
Martin
we
Luther
all live
King.
that long?
I see. No, you know,
End of the tunnel, right?
well, the interconnection, you know, the undersea cable also provides that promise, because that would facilitate that. Anybody that's, you know, touching or involved, it would be receiving energy, and we certainly like the idea of a grid-to-grid connection, you know, something that basically works both ways. If you have more efficient power plants, let's say using cheaper fuels in Oahu that's generating power, everyone benefits from that. So part of the broader strategy is to look at really from a statewide system, and yes, I think there is hope that ultimately we'll have statewide rates with interconnection.
No, you know, there are people, I mean, I haven't talked to anybody recently about this, but I remember that a lot of people said, look, we can do this island by island. We have the technology to run island by island. There's no need to spend $1 billion or more on a cable. You know, and I mean, there's a certain seductive appeal about that argument, because it saves a lot of money, theoretically. But, you know, there's a lot of arguments on the other side, which I personally favor, but, you know, what kind of public, you know, input are you getting on this issue? Is it still a matter of contention, or is it settled?
My sense is that there are more and more communities that feel very comfortable about playing a greater role in this sort of shared concept. I think some communities have also spoken out about very large utility scale solutions not fitting. And so what we've tried to do is try to explain very clearly what the state position is, and that we do need to work together, that it is appropriate for us to work together. We share all kinds of resources, and I think the reception as of late with more of a statewide approach has been very effective. There's been, you know, perhaps grumbling about how long it takes for a lot of these things to happen, like our programmatic EIS, but I think when we shifted gears last year and redefined it as a statewide program, that created, I think, a sense of a greater understanding of what, you know, under the Abercrombie administration we're trying to achieve, and I think it led to confidence that we were approaching it in the right way, and that ultimately we could all work together. I received comments from leaders of some of the groups that had been previously complaining, saying, we understand what kind of big job you have, what a very difficult challenge it is, and you know, if you just respect our position, I think we can support the rest of it. So I think that's where we're heading.
You know, one of the things that's related to that is the notion of cost. You know, I mean, some people, the notion of distributed energy or statewide energy is not the important thing. They just think they're paying too much. So the initiative started out as a clean energy, and for some people turns into the cheap energy initiative, and that means that we do everything we possibly can to keep it cheap. Are we? I mean, what is going on that? Do people understand about this, or are they focused in some places, you know, where it counts, only on cheap?
Well, I think the statewide rate makes it cheaper, and not cheap, but cheaper, to move us into another direction like renewables and energy efficiency. But it's because everybody's paying really high rates now, and if you can say that it's going to be shared, the burden is going to be shared if we make this major expense for the future. You know, people want to solve their problems today, but I think focusing in, and then maybe that was the focus of the statewide effort, knowing that, hey, you know, we're all being considered as part of this.
You know, the thing is, you got to make kind of a decision about whether you really want clean, because clean costs the cost of building the infrastructure. Whether you borrow the money, or whether you write a check for it, whether you force somebody else to pay it, whatever, whoever bears the burden, it costs money to build new infrastructure, and clean equals new. You can't do clean without new infrastructure. And I'm not sure that there are, you know, I mean, I don't know community by community, but I believe there's a lot of people who don't get that, who only say, it's too expensive. It's always been too expensive. I thought you guys were going to make it cheaper for me. Why didn't you make it cheaper for me? Why is it so expensive? You know, they don't understand. Am I right?
Well, there are a lot of other issues that I think need to be looked at, you know, especially the long term, and whatever we decide we're going to do today and put a lot of money into today, we're going to have to make it work going forward. And so I think the people that are working on this now, the PUC in particular, has a lot of things that they're taking under advisement and are considering now, and basically making sure that every step along the way, we're fairly certain that this is the best direction to go is very important, because, you know, at some point we're going to have to start taking into account that climate change is happening, and we've got to get away from the fossil fuels even faster. I mean, we're looking at it as a cost thing, but it really is a big deal, I think, for the future of an island state in particular. And you need only go down to Kailua Beach. Used to be one of the best beaches on the top, you know, the list of Dr. Beach's beaches every year, top 3 for years and years. And now, you go down there and look, you would be shocked to see how much erosion has occurred, and it's because global warming, by whatever means, mechanism, it is warming up, it's melting the glaciers, and the water level is rising, and we need to take that more seriously. And I know that's sort of another day.
Those are
but I'm just telling you, we have to take it all into account, and it's not something you want to do without giving it due consideration.
Well, I think we could probably give it a minute or two of due consideration while we take this break.
Okay.
This is Mark Glick, the State Energy Administrator, speaking out here on Think Tech Hawaii, and Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy, with Sharon Moriwaki and Ray Sterling. We are having such a good time. I will be right back after this break. Stay there on KGU.
760 KGU.
Part of the Wall Street Business Network.
Going west, the H1 slows at the airport on-ramp on the viaduct. The Moana Lewis slows at Fort Shafter Flats. Also have an accident on the H1 westbound at the Kahuapa'ani underpass. Inbound traffic from the west backed up on both freeways behind the Middle Street merge, and then it's slow from there to the Punahou exit. No problems to Hawaii Kai or the windward side. The right Ewa-bound lane of Waialae is closed in Kaimuki because of a water main break.
Think Tech Radio is also brought to you by InmoB. Since its inception in 2007, InmoB has grown to become the world's largest independent mobile advertising network, serving over 100 billion mobile ads to date. It has built its product in parts of the world where the mobile phone is not just a screen, it's the only screen. After launching in the US and Europe in 2010, InmoB has more than doubled its global network from 7 billion to 60 billion impressions monthly, and has offices on 4 continents, in Bangalore, Johannesburg, and London, in Nairobi, New York, and Paris, in San Francisco, Seoul, Singapore, and Tokyo. InmoB. Think Tech Hawaii is a Hawaii nonprofit corporation organized in the year 2000. Its purpose is to raise public awareness about the importance of technology, energy, agriculture, and globalism to the diversification and expansion of our economy. We do this by television shows on community television and on OC16, by newspaper articles, and by our Think Tech radio series on KGU 760 AM. We also do it by panel programs and events, including our monthly luncheon programs with the Hawaii Venture Capital Association. Think Tech, working to raise public awareness in Hawaii. Check us out at thinktechhawaii.com.
Now back to Think Tech Wednesday on AM 760 KGU. Here once again is your host, Jay Fidel.
Thank you. We're back. We're Think Tech. We're live here on a Wednesday. Hawaii, the state of clean energy. With State Energy Administrator Mark Glick, who is actually speaking out today. The State Energy Administrator speaks out. And we have Sharon Moriwaki, and we have Ray Starling. We're full regalia. This is important. Mark, we're here because of you. You know that.
Oh, well, you know, Ray was speaking out too.
Okay. 2 guys. That's fair enough. And that's just, Sharon speaks out too. I mean, I hear that pretty much all the time.
It's just been pretty quiet today, though.
Oh, yeah? We could make it worse. Anyway, so let's talk about your perception of where we are on the continuum, say in that tunnel where the light shines from the far end, right?
Right.
How are we doing? Where are we going? When are we going to get there?
Right. Well, you know, I think it's important to put things into perspective. So we're pretty hard on ourselves, and we talked about all the potential problems and the barriers to greater renewable energy penetration. But the truth is that since 2008, the policy, the Clean Energy Initiative was hatched. The laws were, the Renewable Portfolio Standard went into effect in its current state of 40% in 2009. The Energy Efficiency Portfolio Standard, the equivalent of 30% reduction in power generated electricity. And so the big thing is that where are we today? And as of the end of 2012, with the Energy Efficiency Portfolio Standard, it's a statewide average, we're at 16.4%, and we're supposed to be at 15 by 2015. So we're doing pretty good.
Better than good.
And a lot of that had to do with the emergence of energy savings performance contracts. And the state has really provided leadership there.
What is that? Can you define that for the people who may not know exactly
what
it means?
For those that aren't familiar with it, energy savings performance contracts enables building owners to use future energy savings, basically the savings from the energy efficiency installations, to cover the upfront costs of projects, eliminating the need to dip into your pocket. So when you're asking, well, how do you make these capital investments? How can they engage now? Well, one is you pay it off through the savings. And so that's a great resource. Hawaii is now #1, actually for the last 2 years has been #1 per capita in the value of these energy performance contracts in the entire nation. And
if I wanted to see one, read it, see the provisions, where would I find one? I'd like to look at one.
You mean a contract
performance contract?
Yeah, I mean there's a number of companies that lead this effort. Johnson Controls, Noresco. Yeah, Ray works with them on a daily basis. So, and Hawaii Energy could provide all kinds of great support for that. But yeah, I mean it's a tried and proven strategy. The state of Hawaii, just in terms of where's our progress, we made a pledge. We were invited, the state was, to attend the Clinton Global Initiative and the annual meeting of their American variant, CGI America. And there we made a commitment. President Clinton likes all of the groups and the various parties to make hard commitments about what they're going to do in the future. And we pledged to double our performance contracting over this next 2-year period. And we can do that with a whole variety of you know, the State Department of Transportation's 15 airports, you know, the public safety's prisons and jails, University of Hawaii Hilo's 30 buildings. We're working with those parties right now, City and County of Honolulu, Board of Water Supply, wastewater treatment plants, County of Kauai. So working with those parties, we've already identified those potential savings opportunities, and we can go from roughly $196 million in signed contracts to $300 million. So that's what we're pledging to do, and that's the future. I think we can continue to make progress there. We've got to get this interconnection underway. Certainly the RFPs need to come out, and we need to make progress on fulfilling the legislation that was just passed and will be signed tomorrow. So I think, you know, there's a lot of bright spots, but on our renewable portfolio, at the end of last 2012, we were at 13.7. So we're quickly on our way. We may get to our 15% target next year, a year in advance of the portfolio loss. So it gives us much more impetus to even trot harder.
What about the barrel tax? We were talking about that this morning. We'd like to see the barrel, you know, the barrel tax was a great idea, but the implementation kind of slipped down the side. Can we fix that? Do we need to fix that? Does it really matter?
Well, you know, it's a little bit self-serving, but I think, you know, our agency has been very effective in helping quarterback a lot of these efforts and help lead to cooperative efforts, all of us working together to meet and exceed these goals. It doesn't happen by itself. So, you know, the kinds of technical assistance we provide, the kind of engineering support that we provide through contractors to reach out to other agencies, and we're trying to translate these lessons through something we call lead by example into the private sector, which is a difficult challenge.
Should we be pushing for a better barrel tax, a higher tax, in order to act as a negative incentive and a positive incentive? Should we be pushing to reallocate the money we collect so it all goes to clean energy? I mean, or should we just leave that behind us?
No, you know, it's a fair question, and Jay, I believe that there's enough money there. I think, you know, it should be allocated for the intended purpose, which is food and energy security. And certainly to continue the you know, the work the Department of Health is doing in oil spill response as well. So what we've had a difficult time in this past session was getting broad agreement from the legislature. There was broad agreement by the public. There was another OmniTrack poll that talked about should the barrel tax go to its intended purpose, and that came out closer to 90%. So we'll continue to have good discussions and hopefully make our case better this upcoming session.
Thank you, Mark. Sharon, I promise you a minute on the Energy Day, July 12th. Go for it.
July 12th, please, everybody, come see both Mark and Ray and many others talk about what's happening in energy. We're also focusing on transportation. It's an area that we are using a lot of energy, a lot of fossil fuel that we'd like to reduce. So we have focused the whole afternoon on 2 panels on energy. We're bringing in an international expert on looking at different modes of transportation other than fossil fuel oriented. And we hope that we could get a lot of you there for the discussion, to meet all of the people in not only in energy, but also in transportation. And we invite everybody to go to www.hawaiienergypolicy.hawaii.edu to register and join us.
Okay, so this is Hawaii Clean Energy Day.
Yes.
Pretty much all day on July 12th.
Correct.
Okay. And
Sponsored by the Energy Policy
Sponsored
Forum.
by the Energy Policy
but
Forum.
also Hawaii Energy, Hawaii.
Mark Blick will be there, speaking out yet still again.
Yes. So we have a
And
number
Ray
of
too.
co-sponsors. Yes, along with co-sponsors. We'd like everybody
You
to
bet.
come help us get to clean energy faster.
Thank you, Sharon. Wonderfully, nicely done. Okay, we have a few seconds left, Ray. Close.
Just remember, when you're out there looking at how to save money, saving it by not using a kilowatt hour is the cheapest way for you to save energy. It's much better than making it with PV or wind or whatever. Just not wasting it.
Thank you, Ray Starling, Hawaii Energy. Thank you, Sharon Moriwaki. We love having you on the show. we love you guys. And Mark, we love you too. Okay?
Aloha.
Nobody told that recently, but
Yeah,
we're telling you
I
that
haven't
now.
heard that for a
Aloha, everybody. Think tech
Aloha.
Aloha.
and think energy. Good.